and welcome back. I am so excited about our guest today. We met on Clubhouse. Where else do you meet fantastic people? And we just became such great friends. I knew I needed to interview them for you guys so that you could learn from their wisdom. They are Anthony and Ashlee Chiles. Ashlee and Anthony find joy in their marriage while simultaneously striving to grow professionally and as artists. We're going to learn all about that, but they are also the hosts of A&A on Life podcast. Welcome, Anthony and Ashlee. How are you guys doing?
Thanks. We're really good. Thanks.
Glad to be here.
Amazing. Well, why don't you guys start by telling us just a little bit about yourselves and your family?
All right. We met, I guess, 3 years ago at this point. No, we met December 8th, 2016. I memorized the date. Most important day of my life.
That's
Ashlee, she grew up here in LA. I moved here about 7 or 8 years ago, and we were total strangers, and we just connected instantly. And I think we were together a year, and I proposed after we were dating for a year. And then we got married that same year. This is in 2018. So
you guys are still newlyweds.
We are, yeah. We're newlyweds, but we are both deeply committed to just having a great marriage. You know, it's something that we both inherited. Both of our parents are still together. Her parents, how many parents were together?
I always forget the number. 40, it's like 43 or 43, something.
Yeah. And so, yeah, my parents just hit the 40-year mark this year. So, you know, we both we just carried that into our commitment. Like, we know it's possible. We got an example of it, so let's do it. So, yeah, and we're having a good time so far.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. I still like them.
Yeah.
So
that's good. That's good. I love it. Well, tell us what you both do, because I know you mentioned that you're artists. I know Ashlee is a second grade teacher, but tell us a little bit about your daily day-to-day lives.
Well, I'm a singer. That is my passion there. Went to school for music, emphasis in voice, and I taught music for a little bit before I transitioned into, the classroom, teaching grade school. But I still sing at every chance I get. I sing at church. I sing in all girl group. We do a lot of gigs around LA, and in a gospel group as well. Since COVID, things have things have like stopped to come to a halt right. In that department, but it's starting to pick up a little bit now. So yeah, that's my artist side there.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit of everything. So I actually studied civil engineering. That was my degree. I did that for a little while, for maybe 4 years in Ohio. Then I moved out to LA and was pursuing acting full time and writing. Was teaching for a little bit, and then I went back into, so what I'm doing now is construction management, but I focus a lot on writing. So I'm drafting a novel right now, but I write short stories and I write essays, and I do a lot of writing on.
And he writes songs.
Yeah, I write songs.
Wow.
Yeah, so my main artistry is writing, but I kind of feel like a very versatile artist. I kind of dabble in a lot of different forms.
I love it. Well, both of you have these really interesting careers where it's not like you punch in, you punch out, like you're juggling a lot. So I would love to hear kind of how you balance your career, your art, your personal lives, your podcast together. I mean, there's so much that you guys do. So talk to me about how you manage all of that.
As far as the relationship goes, we try to communicate basically, a schedule, keeping, things in order, even for ourselves, like juggling all the things, having it in our calendar or written down, and then communicating with each other, and keeping a date night on the calendar
Yeah.
you know,
Love
for
that.
us to kind of, you know, check in with each other when things get really crazy or things get really hectic. And yeah, I guess the main challenge would be personal time.
Right.
I guess for me would be that.
And we try to be deliberate about scheduling that as well, like scheduling time for ourselves, scheduling time together, and then scheduling time for our art, and making sure that, you know, she has rehearsals that she has to go to, making sure that I'm aware of that and how that interacts with, oh, I might need to cook dinner tonight, or, you know, things like that. Or, hey, I'm taking I'm doing this writing course or this workshop or, you know, this conference. And so I need this weekend away. And so we might not be able to schedule it. So the calendar is super important. And checking in too, just knowing, you know,
Absolutely.
what's needed.
What do you guys think about traditional kind of gender roles, or are you both kind of fluid? You just figure it out as you go, what needs to be
That
Yeah.
that was a key component to my yes, right? To him, right? He's not rigid or very traditional in the sense that our parents were.
Right.
You know, we had that conversation very early on. Like my mom was the super mom. You know, she worked, she cooked, she cleaned, she took care of the kids. You know, my dad brought home, you know, the money. You know, every now and then he might, you know, pitch in here and there, but it was mainly my mom. And we had that conversation.
Yeah.
Like, do you expect that? Is that an expectation you have? Because I don't want to fill that role.
Right.
You know, I believe that if we both work, then we both cook and clean, and you know, he agrees.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that we met
And
eye to eye on.
I mean, my whole mindset around it is we're on the same team. That's what that is the role. Like, the goal is to be teammates on managing this house and managing our personal growth. And so whatever needs to happen for us
Right.
to accomplish that goal.
I'm the main
That's what we
cook
need to do.
in the house because usually he would get home late. And
Right.
if I wait for you to get home, you know, I'm hungry. So I don't mind, you know, I don't mind cooking. But if our schedules change, you know, maybe now that role is yours. So we know that it changes. It's
fluid,
it's
absolutely.
very fluid.
Yeah.
Wait, so
And I
you
just think
have
of grocery
kids.
shopping too, right? I like grocery shopping. She does not like grocery shopping at all. And so, yeah, that's also part of it, is what do we like to do? What are we good at? So it's definitely not traditional. But.
I wouldn't say that.
Okay, well, talk to us about communication, because clearly, you know, being able to manage all of the schedules and the roles and the expectation takes a lot of communication. So,
Yeah.
what tips and tricks about communicating have you guys learned kind of along the way?
Go ahead.
I've learned, and this is even before I was in a relationship, that and it's something that we like to say, know what you need or what you want and learn how to ask for it.
Yeah.
Right. And I can't, and I think it's unfair to put that on him. Like, you should know what I need or you should know what I want. That's really unfair. Like, I can't expect him to read my mind, or, you know, you see me frowning, you should, you know. So it's communicating that what I'm feeling, what I need, and that translates into all my relationships, actually. You know, you can't expect your mom or your sister to know. You have to really practice and work that muscle of communicating your needs, because that's really your responsibility.
Yeah. I believe that she has a genius level emotional intelligence. I absolutely believe that. And so I'm learning so much from her, right? I'm bringing a lot of that concept of learning what I need, that awareness, and then being able to communicate it. And I gravitate towards words. I'm a writer, and I know the power of having a good story to back what you're doing, right? And so part of the communication too is, we early on, we actually sat down and thought about what's our mission, what are we trying to do in life, and we have a lot of check-ins on that, where it's like, are we where we want to be financially? Are we where we want to be physically, spiritually? Like, what story are we creating right now with our lives? as it's changing, and so that's a lot of our communication too, is just the overall story. Like, well, what story are we creating right now? Are we happy with this chapter? Or is it 2020 where it's just like, let's just burn this whole chapter and start next year? So yeah, that's also part of it. But
you said something really interesting just yesterday. You said, what was it? You said to how could this be better? Yeah. Rather than like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Or like checking in that way.
Right.
Like, so how can this situation be better for you?
Yeah, what's your best hope?
Yeah, your best hope.
Like, what's the best hope you have for the next week or the next year, right? Like, or what, in what ways do you, if you were to wake up tomorrow and I could be the best husband for you, like, what would I be doing?
What would that look like?
Yeah, what would that look like for you?
Yeah, you may not get it, but you know.
I at least ask. You might not get it, but at least I asked.
I may fail in my attempt, but we're trying.
Right.
So I love this idea that you're a writer and that you get to write the story you want to be remembered for. So talk to me about your happily ever after and how that kind of plays into your day-to-day.
Yeah. Their legacy is a big thing for me, right? Like my wife gets on me about it. I'm kind of morbid in the sense that I think about my death, my imminent death, and how I just realize that my life is finite, and I know that I'm not going to be here long. And so the legacy is the memories I leave behind.
Live with intention.
Right, exactly. And so I'm just big on my happily ever after is knowing that as we lived together, people were positively impacted. We loved the life that we lived. We didn't regret anything. We played. I think that's so big. Life is so short. Like, just play, enjoy it.
Laugh.
We laugh so much.
You can't take yourself seriously.
I have not had a day where I haven't laughed with this woman. I haven't, probably not a good hour, maybe at work. But yeah, so that's our happily ever after for me. That's what it is, just legacy. Yeah.
I love it so much. Okay, so speaking of legacy, when your children, who are not here yet, but when your children think about their mom and dad and their the marriage and relationship that they had, what do you want them to remember?
Did that on the podcast. We did that.
Did you guys do that?
Yeah, we talked about that on an episode. I'll let you go.
I don't actually remember what I said, but I know that if, looking at my parents, they're looking at me, like, okay, our baby daughter is married, I can look back on their marriage and see that they were a real team and they really had each other's back, inside the house, in front of their kids, they had each other's back. Outside the house, that's one lasting thing that I can really pinpoint in my parents' marriage. And for us, I want that as well. Like, we are a team, we may not agree always, but I'd be damned if y'all know that out there, like, we have each other's back, and that we loved, it is not perfect. It's not going to be right all the time. We're not always, like I said, going to agree, but it was love there. I want them to carry that on with them forever, that love.
Yeah, I like it. Amen. I don't know if I can do much better than that.
Nothing to add there, huh?
No.
Okay. Tell me about A&A on life. What was the inspiration? What do you hope to accomplish? What do you want people to get out of your podcast?
I'll have to take that one. That was my brainchild. I was in the middle of 2020. Like, man, I want to do something new and different. I got more time at the house. And And so I was like, I want to do a podcast. Like, I like teaching as well. I know that she's an amazing teacher, and I really wanted to like share a lot of the lessons that we learned. And I just wanted to kind of figure out a way to do it. And I thought like a podcast would be great because I love podcasts. I listen to them all the time. And so like the genesis of it was just like, how do we get through this life together, right? Like, how do we do life together? That's something we do. Like we say all the time, we're doing life together. So what are the things that we do? Like, how do we do it?
And it's we don't come at it as a right or a wrong,
right,
or teaching you like this is how you do it, but it's just a snapshot of our life. Like
exactly.
This is how we're navigating through it. This is what we talk about. This is understanding that every relationship has its own agreements.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that they have their own rules that they follow, and these are ours. This is how we navigate through this. And you know, we're not putting it on anyone like this is right or wrong, but this is just how we make sense of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it may be some contradictions every now and then,
right.
you know, but we're working it out. We're trying.
So would you say it's kind of an inspirational podcast for young married couples?
I would say for all couples.
I would even say
honestly,
for singles as well.
And for singles, yeah. Because one of the things that, and I've gotten this feedback from talking to some of my married friends where it's like, oh, you know what? Like, I haven't had that conversation with my wife. Or, oh, you know what? That's a good idea that you shared about doing X, Y, and Z. And I think for someone who's thinking about getting married, you know, it's good to hear that.
Yeah.
Right? It's good to hear, oh, this is some of the things that come up. These are some of the things that you should be talking about.
This is a conversation I need to have before I get married, you know?
Right.
Or before I even, you know, start dating even.
Right.
Like, because some of it is the work that you do within.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. You know, are you okay with being alone? Do you know what you want for your life? Because you can't link up with someone else and you don't know what you want.
Yeah.
You know, then you're just following their life's aspirations, or you're following their life goals, and you don't have any for yourself. Like, you really need that single time to really figure that out. Like, I want to link with someone who's going to help me get to where I'm trying to go, and I want to be able to help them as well.
Absolutely.
And together we can achieve that.
And so there's an inspiration element, there's an educational element, and then it's
just tomfoolery.
Just fun. Honestly, it's
absolute foolery.
just having a good time. And showing that too. Just showing just being together and just having fun together.
What would you guys say is the most important thing that you guys did to prepare yourselves for marriage?
We got married later in life.
Yeah, we waited. That was the most important thing we did.
But I think
we're 30. We're both 30 when we met. So
yeah, I had
Yeah, I mean, we had, so with that, we had both dated enough to know what we liked, what we didn't like. We had both, you know, established our careers, where we were going, what our trajectory was. She was a little more focused than I was, but at least we kind of knew. We had both known where we wanted to live, what we wanted to do. So like a lot of that, like the big things are like, where do you want to live? What do you want to do with your career? What lifestyle do you want to have? We had kind of both made those decisions individually before we came together. We've, you know, made adjustments since we've been together, but the big thing was just knowing what we wanted and being willing to ask each other, you know, what that was. And then talking. I mean, just about everything.
Nothing was or is off the table.
When we first got together,
no matter how uncomfortable.
Right. We were talking every day, hours. And it was everything. It was politics and religion and sex and children and, you know, family and life and death and all. It was everything, you know. It's funny now, but I remember when we were dating, there was this documentary about the end of life.
Oh God, we
we were having an end of life discussion, like when we were dating.
It's
And we were
planning.
new too.
We were right. And
We
it was
were
just,
new.
It
That
was
was
because
dope.
I heard about this documentary. I was like, I just want to watch this documentary. It seems like it was interesting. We're both crying by the end of it.
Boo.
And we were just
Boo.
like, what would you want to happen if you were in the hospital?
It was all these families who
Oh
had
my
to
God.
decide, you know,
Yeah.
whether to pull the plug or not. And, you know, there's dissension in the family. Someone's like, no, you're not going to kill my mom. And we over there like,
it was
and it just brought up that conversation.
Exactly.
You know, like, well, how would you want to be connected to a ventilator or,
Right.
you know, and that was uncomfortable, but
it was very uncomfortable. I wasn't expecting it to be that tough, but being willing to have those conversations is probably one of the biggest things that we did.
So
Yeah.
tell me how you were able to establish that vulnerability with each other right off the bat. Like, what was different about this relationship than others?
I trusted him.
Mm.
You know, it was something about him where his kindness was in everything he did. He was kind at work. He was kind to strangers, kind to his family. And I just saw that strain, you know, all throughout, like in every area. And it was like, this man is kind. And that kindness made me trust him. Like, I believe that even if I say something that he may not agree with, he's not going to go left. You know, he's going to react in kindness. He's going to respond in kindness. And that's really all I needed. You know, you're afraid of sharing your heart with someone if you feel like they'll judge you or, you know, mock you even. But someone that's kind and accepting, and that it made me trust you with that. So
Yeah.
I can't
That's
really
sweet.
say like, oh, I don't care. I share everything. No, I don't. I'm not one that just will open up to anyone, but I trusted him.
Yeah.
Trust him.
That's so sweet. I love it.
He's speechless. Like, you can't even, doesn't even know what to say.
For me, I think about how, like, I'm serious, like your emotional intelligence is so high. And not only for yourself, but also being able to read others. And like, and there's an honesty behind it. You speak with integrity, like consistently. And so I just, for someone who I felt like my ability to communicate what I was feeling, like I didn't, outside of like art, it was always suppressed, right? Like I was very much one of those people who kind of, you know, like press down what I was feeling. But you were able to read like so well into me, in that very second grade teachery gentle way, like what's going on, you know, but not in a patronizing way, not in a way that was putting me in a position of a child, but with the gentleness of speaking to a child. You would come to me and like bring that part of me out and bring that up for me. And also just, you would be honest about yourself, about what you needed and what you felt, and which is rare. You know, I've experienced so many relationships where it's, you should be reading my mind, or I'm playing the game, so I'm actually saying this, but what I really mean is this, because what I really want for you to do is that. And I'm just like, I don't.
That takes too much energy.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, that's too confusing.
It's just
So,
cut to the point here.
Yeah. So that was it for me. Yeah.
I love it. Well, you guys are a beautiful, beautiful couple. If you had the undivided attention of all the couples in all the world for just a few minutes, what do you think is the most important thing you could teach them? Maybe about emotional intelligence and how it plays into a happy, healthy, thriving relationship.
I've got to go back to our quote. Like, I really do. You have to know. And it's easy to say, but hard to do. It sounds so simple, but you have to know what you want and know how to ask for it. It's so hard, but you have to work at it. Knowing yourself can be hard. Like, what do I want? Like, I thought I wanted this, but I got it, and it turns out I don't. You know, you really have to know what kind of marriage do you want? what kind of spouse do you want?
Right.
You can't follow a cookie cutter, kind of makeshift, like here it is, you have to know for you what you want and be really solid on that. Like, that's not what I want. I don't want someone who, I don't know, smokes and drinks and blah, blah, blah. I don't want someone who stays in the house all the time. I want somebody who will party.
So different for everyone.
I don't want someone who is a stay-at-home dad. I want someone who's out there working. Like, it has to be what you want. Like, so emotional intelligence is know thyself.
Yeah. I would speak to the men because of our culture in this time. A lot of us have been miseducated on emotions, and we haven't been given the vocabulary to speak what we feel. And so I would say, I'll speak directly to men and say, learn the language of feelings, learn how to communicate, and it goes back to being aware. It goes back to being, understanding of what you're experiencing, and then learn the language of, in kind and considerate ways, like, I'm irritated right now, or I'm overwhelmed. I don't feel like talking about this. I need time because I'm discouraged. I'm disappointed. I'm vulnerable. I feel overwhelmed. I feel helpless in this situation. Word, like, even as I'm saying those words, and I didn't hear that a lot. I don't hear it a lot on TV. I don't hear it a lot in culture. Like, men just saying, I'm burdened. I'm in pain. Like,
the woman is coming at them. Well, talk to me. Why are you doing this? What they're doing? And they're feeling flooded, and then they just shut down rather than, I don't know what I'm feeling, but I know that I'm feeling overwhelmed and I need a moment to process.
Right.
Like, you have to, if you love a person, you respect that.
Right.
Like, you're telling me in clear words what it is you need. You need some time.
And a lot of us haven't been given that education, right? And she brought up a great point. A lot of men feel just as much. They actually get to that place of overwhelm, too many emotions coming up, as any female, as any woman does, but they don't have that same practice in expressing it. And so it turns into stonewalling. It turns into shutting down. It turns into the acceptable expression, which is anger, right? We're all taught to be aggressive and rough up, tough it up, fight, do something like that. But that's what we're pushed to do, right? Like, push through it, like, fight. And that's the
I'm sad. It's time to fight.
It is. And we as men just have to we learn so much, right? We learn so many skills when we go to work. We learn how to do so many things. We can learn a few words.
Absolutely.
That can teach us, like you said, babe, I'm overwhelmed right now.
Absolutely.
Babe, work was it was irritating and disappointing. I just need a minute. Or, babe, like, I'm really enjoying this experience. Can we do more of this? Like, what you're doing right now is, like, it's giving me life. Can we have more of this? Yeah.
So I think we agree.
Yeah.
Know what you want.
Oh, good. Really good advice, you guys. Thank you so much. So tell the listeners where they can find you, where they can find your podcast, where they can follow along on A&A Adventures. Give us all the things.
A&A on Life is available on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, on Spotify. You can just find it by searching A&A on Life. I am on Instagram at Mr. Anthony Chiles. I'm on Clubhouse. You can find me there. Ashlee's a little more low key. You can find her on the podcast.
That's okay. My husband doesn't do any
and so
either. There's always one of those, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's what she wants. So I'm all in support of it. But yeah, check us out. The podcast is fun. We just have a good time. We have conversations, and we really try to inspire people to love their life. So A&A on Life. You can find us on Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get the podcast.
I love it. See you next time.
To learn more ways to deepen your intimacy and strengthen your relationship, make sure you watch this video next.